Oh, Occupy Oakland. It's been going on for quite a few days now. It's been a standoff with police, and I think it's time for us to start sharing the reasons why we are not the 99% of people that are the forefront of this movement. About 3 weeks ago, as you guys know, Occupy Oakland started on Frank Ogden Square in downtown Oakland. I'm a resident of downtown Oakland and I commute to San Francisco every day, so my life has been unnecessarily and unfairly occupied by the people that moved in, as well as the small businesses that people in Oakland and people in my neighborhood patronize. 3 weeks ago, when the Occupy movement first started in with its cause in Oakland, which is a great cause, I should say, to begin with, they set up a bunch of camps and it turned quickly over the course of 2 to 3 weeks into a tent city. And this tent city was a real life, everyday recall from history of what a Hooverville would be. It smells bad, it looks bad, it chokes the life out of small businesses, it makes it so that we can't have all the options that we would otherwise have for public transportation. So it makes sense to the average, sensible, intelligent person that the police evicted the protesters from Frank Ogden Square at the beginning of last week. And it caused a lot of tension and police violence, as you've seen in the news. But a lot of what you see in the news is only the police retaliating against the citizens that are not leaving the space to provide sanitary conditions for everybody else that lives in Oakland. It is disgusting. They are making fire hazards. They are doing things that are occupying our lives unnecessarily and forcefully, and there's nothing that we can do about it. The reactions that you're seeing from police are cut and tailored to make it seem as if it's all just police violence against citizens, but that is not the case. I see it every single day. People are throwing things at the police, people are fighting the police, they're putting their hands on the police, and none of this violence started happening until the Occupy movement, not the cause, the movement became violent against police, and then all of this previous violence from Oscar Grant, et cetera, started to come up, and that's why there's such a great movement now against the police. But I am personally feeling sick of having my transportation options limited. We can barely even leave our house at nighttime sometimes because these people pop up in flash mobs and they're violent and they go on all night long. We're being subjected to all of the ways that police are trying to use crowd control, really loud super horns, like tear gas, all sorts of things. And I assure you of one thing, I am not the 99%, and these people are not a fair representation of this cause. They're saying that they're the 99%, which is this gap between the rich and the poor, and in that it has destroyed the middle class. And while I agree with that, there needs to be reform for jobs. There needs to be reform for separation of a lot of different banking and insurance type things that are really putting us under. We need to definitely focus on fixing this, but this cause has unfortunately been headlined by a movement that's disgusting, repulsive, unnecessary, and unfair to the rest of the citizens. We're having to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars now in tax dollars that we have no option as to whether or not we want to pay it to have police occupation. Helicopters have been hovering over downtown, between 4 to 6 of them for the last 3 to 4 days. It's trash downtown. And not just downtown. These things are happening all over Oakland. They're marching all over Oakland, and now a lot of this is being forefronted also by the world's attention to Scott Olson, who is the two-tour Iraq veteran that was hit in the face by an exploding police projectile. However, I assure you that most of what you see online is only of him getting hit by that. I assure you also that he was provoking them just like the rest of the people, and then the police reacted in such a way to protect themselves from the unpredictable actions of these people. These people have taken our cause and have turned it into a movement that is not fair and representative of the rest of the people, and is putting a real damper on the working lives of people that are young and old alike. It's putting a stop on our public transportation. It's choking small businesses. Some of them can't even keep their doors open 24 hours a day. And all of this just keeps getting worse and worse. And it seems like the media is really making it so that people are to believe that police are just using unnecessary violence, both in Oakland, Denver, Atlanta, but I'm telling you that I'm seeing it happen, and it's not the case. People are causing this to happen. The police have offered a fair enough resolution saying that they just want to clean up the square after it's been destroyed by these people with their human waste and their trash and their fire and everything that they're doing there to really destroy something that was otherwise nice. And they're saying that they will allow them to protest there still legally during the day with no overnight encampments. And I think that there has been no better resolution on, at least being offered on behalf of the police. And the fact that these people won't just take it and shut their mouth and continue to fight and fight and fight is taking away from the cause of the 99%. And I assure you that these people are not the 99%. They're the ones of us that are jaded and they don't have jobs. They have time to just stand around and protest and fight police and then claim that it's their First Amendment right. Your First Amendment right is to hold public demonstration. Your First Amendment right is to not resist police and cause violence against police and expect them to not do something in return. And the effect that it's having on everybody else in the cities that these Occupy movements have moved in on is terrible and debilitating, and it's expensive, and it's more work and more energy and more problems for all the other citizens that are supposedly represented by this 99% than it is if we were to approach it from what it originally started as, which was an idea, a cause, a movement fueled by passion, not by violence, not by hate, not by resistance. It's not about that. It's about changing the way that things are functioning, and the way to do that is not through violence. And I can tell you from a first-eye perspective that this is affecting my life personally. It's making things a lot harder, it's making them more expensive, it's making them dangerous, and it's not fair. And I'm a 22-year-old working person that's constantly assumed to be a part of this movement, and I think that that's because a lot of people seem to think that we are all a part of this 99%, but although we may be a part of the 99%, they are not a part of the 99%, and they are not a fair representation of this cause. And we need to start some sort of conversation and dialogue between individuals, small business owners, people that are passionate about the cause still at its root, so that we can show those people that are leading this movement and are have the attention of the media and they're causing all of this violence, that they have taken our cause and they've turned it into a movement that no longer reflects the cause, and we're going to lose all hope of achieving change with this cause if they continue to do it in such a violent way. And it's not fair. They are not the 99%, and I think that it's time that we start to discuss this. So that's why I made My Life Occupied, and submissions are coming in now. There's just so many of them, and we have to edit them and put them up, and you just have to be patient with me. But I encourage you to post video responses, share your media, show us what you're seeing, because there's a lot going on that people don't see. Most of what people are allowed to see or are being permitted to see or have access to is content that is biased for the movement that no longer supports the cause. So please do share your thoughts, your opinions, post a video response. Let me know how it's going in your city and what's happening with you. If you have any thoughts, please join the conversation so that we can try to save the cause before it gets too far lost in the melody of violence that keeps happening in all these cities, and each day it just gets worse and worse and worse.